There was a debate, and there was one question that I think there were four candidates who were asked what they would do about vulnerable populations. He talked about women, children, and people with disability, and that was it. And because of the recency of my grandmother passing, for me, I was wondering, why didn't anybody talk about senior citizens, the elderly? Because they are a vulnerable population.
Indeed.
Growing up, we had pen pals, where you'd have somebody in Bangladesh, you had no clue, you never seen them, except for maybe a picture and a letter, and you're going back and forth. In the world today, nobody has an excuse. Information, connection to people, the opportunity is there. And it starts with conversation, it starts with learning.
Hello, today we are joined by one of the most amazing humans that we've had the pleasure of encountering. Her name is Dr. Esi Ansah. She's a leader, an entrepreneur, a scholar, a teacher, and she wears many hats. So Dr. Esi, today, welcome to our podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you, John.
Okay, so Doc, there are many people who out there would want to know your story, and I'm going to give you permission now to start telling us what is your origin story.
Which version do you want? The abridged version, the real long version, or the 2-second version?
I think we have time. Go ahead.
All right. So my name is Esi, and I grew up with 3 big brothers, so I was quite a tomboy. And between my 3 brothers, a very liberal father who encouraged me to think, and even when I pushed back, and even when I fought back at some of the things he wanted me to do, it was okay, and he would commend me for pushing back.
How cool.
And grew up right here in Ghana, university, primary school, because my dad was a lecturer, and then Wesley Girls from Form 1 to Upper 6. And then, back in the day, we used to do national service before university.
Oh, okay.
And then after university.
Oh.
So when I finished Upper 6, I did my national service, and then I left for university in the US.
Oh, okay.
Then came back.
To do national service again?
No, so I didn't do it when I came back. I did just the first one because they changed the policy, and now it was left as just what you do before university. And my passion's always been teaching. So even at a very young age, I'd gather the kids in the neighborhood and help them with homework and try and teach them. And so when I entered college, I wanted to be a child psychologist. I wasn't sure what it was about, but it sounded nice.
It does, doesn't it?
And I like working with young people. So hey, and along the way, I picked up an interest in international affairs. So I was a psychology major, and international affairs required a language. So I ended up, and I had done French to A-level. So I ended up doing a triple major in French, psychology, and then international affairs for
Wow.
my undergrad at Florida State University.
That sounds loaded.
It was, but it was fun. They made it possible, I even did a semester abroad in France.
Oh.
And then...
Is there any French in there or?
Do you use your French still? Oh, très bien.
Enough to frighten a few.
You frightened up.
Yes. You know those resumes with working on the French, even though there is nothing there that is working.
Yeah. And afterwards, I actually wanted to do a PhD in culture and cognition. So I applied for a PhD program right after undergrad, which was like, that's supposed to be master's. Hello. But I put in applications, and then the University of Chicago actually, in fact, my story with U of C is not a regular one, because typically when we get admissions, if you're not accepted, that's it.
Right.
But they wrote back and said, we like your application, but we think you do better in the Master of Arts program in Social Sciences. It's an interdisciplinary course.
Okay.
Because they could tell from my statement of purpose, I wanted to do a little bit of education, sociology,
Right.
public admin. And
You were
like,
ready. You were
this,
like,
I'm telling
I
you.
want the
What
whole
you call the whole okay.
So it was basically, look, this program is too contained for you. So they recommended me to another program, the Human Development Program. Then they wrote to me and said, we like your application. We don't think this is a good fit for you. There's the MAPS program. It's an interdisciplinary one. So I ended up in the third, program they recommended, and it was excellent because I did courses in anthropology, education, sociology. I kind of fed all my interests.
I think it's amazing that they were able to really decipher through your documentation and just like, okay,
And not throw the application
exactly,
away.
because it's so easy. It's easy.
You know what? Doc? Let's touch on that because you are a child who is growing up in uni at University of Ghana. What made you think that, okay, maybe to pursue my education, maybe I need to leave the shores of the country?
At the time, university strikes were quite common.
Okay.
And there was a year where our public universities were on strike for 9 months. And a lot of people left. So if you found a scholarship opportunity, you leave and go, get started elsewhere. Because nobody knew when the universities would reopen.
Essentially, that's an academic year, 9 months, right?
Yeah, that's it. So I had friends who had gone out to study. And of course, those days you're staying in touch, you're writing letters, etc. And because my interests were so varied, it made sense to, you know what? It's flexible out there, at least from what my friends are telling me. You can combine different things. Here, it's a straight jacket. You enter the tunnel and you stay there till you're done.
So it's more exploration.
Yeah. My dad passed on the day I finished my last O-level paper in Form 5. And I'm sure if he had been alive, wouldn't have allowed me to go. He was a believer in, look, we can do it here and
just
let's
make
get
it work.
going. Yeah.
And you're not going to spoil my name. I'm the professor here.
I know.
Who
What business do you have?
Yeah. I think he would have, but he was very flexible. I remember in my family, all the men in my mother's family went to Adi school.
Okay.
Because their grandfather, which is my great-grandfather, was one of the engineers and founding fathers who put Adi school together.
Oh, wow.
And then on my dad's side, he went to St. Augustine's, and all my brothers went to August school. So I remember the last time I saw him before he passed, I was like, what do you think about me doing this August school for sixth form? And I was like, but it's an all-boys school. There are no girls there. And I said, yes, there is, because there was one young lady I'd heard of who she was a day student and did her sixth form there and stayed with one of the masters. I just went to class. So I was like, somebody's done it. And I mean, I want to follow the family tradition. Let's do August school. And to my amazement, I was like, okay.
Wow.
If you think it's possible, let's talk about it. Let's get the forms. And when you come home, then we can, discuss it further. But that's the kind of person he was.
Wow.
This is from her story. That doesn't sound like the traditional image we have of an African.
No.
Agreed. It's not the norm. It's not the norm.
He was.
So then let's enter your father's life. What is the role of your father? Do you think? It says that he passes away on the day you're completing your own.
He passed away on June 14th, and that's when I did my French orals. That was my last exam.
So the French gap here was just a tribute to him. But what is the role of your dad in your life in terms of, if you look at Dr. Esi, the daughter of a doctor? How did?
So my father was quite well known because he was a social critic commentator.
Okay.
He was a professor of journalism at the School of Communication Studies at the University of Ghana.
Okay.
And he used to write in the Chronicle, and he was called his initials spelt out Pava. Everybody knew him as Pava. And he had a column in the Chronicle, the Ghanaian Chronicle, and they used to call him the Monday Morning Terror. Because he would just
rip into
any and everything he wasn't happy with. And he had he was very humorous in his writing,
Wonderful.
and used all these big words that you needed a dictionary by you to read his art.
Decipher what is.
And people used to enjoy reading, from him, etc. And the key role he played in my life, my love for teaching. I remember when I was filling a form. I've forgotten what form it was. This was before O level. We had to fill some forms, and it asked for fathers, parents' occupation. And I asked him. I said, "I'm writing lecturer." He said, "No, write teacher." I was like, why teacher? Teacher is, secondary school, primary school.
Why are you demoting me? I have.
And he said, "No, I'm a teacher. I teach. Lecturing is one way.
He's a sage on the
to people.
stage.
Yeah.
But I teach." And I mean, all his students called him Uncle Paul.
Okay.
So he was Uncle Paul. His students would come home, etc. So for him, it was a certain calling.
Yes.
And he said, "Look, there are two types of educated people: the missionary and the mercenary." And so the missionary studies, because he studied in Bordeaux, studied in Madison in the US. He studied outside and came back.
Right.
And then for him, it's either you're a missionary who returns to come and give back,
Yep.
or the mercenary who returns to exploit
Yes.
the community. And I mean, we had some of these conversations. Of course, growing older, I wish I was 17 when he died.
Right.
So growing older, I wish he were around so we could actually,
Really
let's have more conversation.
Absolutely.
But that really influenced it kind of just made me reflect and become more thoughtful about my interest in teaching. Because I naturally do very well with, engaging folks.
Yeah, that
teaching young
dialogue.
people and, so anyway, and he was very liberal. I understand when we were born, all my siblings and myself, he didn't want us to be baptized.
Okay.
Because for him, baptism of the child has zero knowledge. And for him, let the child grow up, raise them the way you should, and let them choose.
Which is
now
more poignant.
Baptism and choose to do that. So he was a very liberal person. And I remember when I was in Form 5, this is 1993, he suffered a stroke in, I think it was 91. So before he passed, he had, mobility issues, etc. But then he was always writing. People would tell him, "Uncle Paul, slow down. And he said, "No, I mean, if it's in my belly and it's burning, it's got to come out."
Wow.
And so he was still writing, even from his deathbed.
Really.
And I remember once walking up to the school notice board, and there was a newspaper, Daily Graphic, and it had presidential aspirants, and I saw his picture there.
Oh.
Because he was a very vocal person, he would talk about politics, society, everything, and he was one of the people who pushed for independent press and free press. So I go to the notice board, and then I see his picture, and I write him a stinker.
Oh, like that.
So I send him a letter and I say, "I saw that you were listed as presidential aspirants. If you're planning to be president, you haven't told the family."
Okay, so you are still in high school now.
High school, and I write, and I used to write letters to him. Sometimes he would mandate the letter to be in French. And then the letter, he'd keep it. And when I come, we sit down and we go through and
Grammatically.
correct all the errors in there.
Let's not talk about the emotional tone of what you are requesting for.
This
It's the structure of your thoughts.
We'd go through and edit it. But I wrote him a letter, a very strongly worded letter, that said, "You didn't talk to us about this. You're being selfish. Politics is dirty, and why, so anyway." And then his response, I actually have his response, because after he passed and we're, gathering his stuff, the letters that we wrote and everything, I have.
Oh, wow.
But he responded, and his first thing was to say, "I like the fact that you are thinking and you're asking questions." And then he went on to say, "Don't believe everything you see. The fact that my picture was in the paper doesn't mean that I
mandated it.
I'm actually asking to step into any presidential.
So this was fake news before social media, before.
It's funny you say this about your father because I lost my father literally days before sitting my GCSEs, my O levels as well, and actually weirdly, it's like 29 years to the day that he had passed, and I was, just about to take my my exams then. So it's quite interesting how our fathers really do leave at a critical juncture in our lives as well. Like, Daddy, I'm not ready just yet, but it was quite interesting. But again, the role and the powerful role in which they really embed in their daughters' lives, I think, since you said that you were
I was close
the girl. Yes, I could see that. I can see that. Oh, may his soul rest in peace.
And because of that, I know we have the Power series. We have somehow been honored enough to participate in some of your attempt at honoring your father's baby. But I really want to kind of touch on this idea of the mercenaries versus missionaries, and this idea of kind of coming back. And if you look at where we are on the continent, and you have these elections, which I'm not going to refer to, sometimes in Africa always being under the shadow of the West. And I've been arguing that Ghana is almost becoming a Mecca, kind of the year of the return, and Africans are trying to find a space here. But then you also have our people who are really working so hard to get out, and not maybe for pursuit of education, but it's as if our place no longer can give them hope. So you have almost this interesting dichotomy where you have the Black Americans wanting to return, and then you have our young people on the continent saying, you know what, this place has nothing for me. Can you speak to that? Because you came back, you went and came back, but now you're working with young people and you're teaching young people, and some of them want to escape because they think that we as a continent are not offering them the futures that they dream of.
I think the context and the dynamics have changed just a little bit. I mentioned that my interest in studying outside was because of a strike,
Right.
a very long strike. Those kinds of constraints haven't gone anywhere. Now you may not have a prolonged strike because people have options. They may go into other institutions, etc. But the economy is on strike. It's not moving.
Yes.
The growth and the advancement is missing. There are a lot of people who don't see a reason to stay. And it's really psychological. I hear too many examples of people who will pay $25,000, $80,000 just to get the visa and exit because of some connections and get them out of here.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, if your mindset is different, you can look at that 80,000 cities and say,
how can I
do this? And a lot of times it's actually in dollars. What can I do with $80,000 in dollars?
Yeah.
You can do a lot, and for me, I went with the exit in sight.
Okay.
So when I was done with my PhD, I went for a conference once, and some university dean or somebody from one of the universities in Texas said, "Oh, would love to have you join the team, and would like to interview." And I said, "Sorry, I'm not looking. I'm going back home." I shipped my things in April, graduated in May. 2 weeks later, June 5th, I was back. I had no intention of staying. So upstairs, once you decide,
There was a plan.
that, no matter how bad it is, I'm going to be here, then it's easier to follow through because there's a resolve. But when you're kind of fluid and open, the reality, when I came back in 2008, remember this is a financial crisis.
Yes.
The people in the US were, "What's wrong with you? Why are you going back home? The world is going in circles and everything's falling apart." And the people here ask you, "Why are you coming back?
What is wrong with you?
Why didn't you stay there?"
You got out.
Why don't you stay there?
You got out.
Yeah. But for me, there was really nothing. And if I had to do it again, I'd do the same thing. I would stay.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah. I agree.
But I think the economy, the difficulty of seeing that there is a way out. And unfortunately, we have systems and leaders, these two things. Leaders who do not create systems that build wealth, systems that give people hope and an expectation that, you know what, I can live in a country where if I'm driving from Accra to Cape Coast and I need to use the washroom, I can stop and find a nice, clean, safe space to use. When I open the tap, the water will run.
So just
electricity,
just human
little
dignity,
things.
human dignity.
Thank you. And you know, my master's thesis was on the brain drain.
Ah.
Looking at the brain drain, especially of physicians. So I did the physician exodus from Ghana, and initially I had this grand comparative something I was going to do, but I realized the problem is across the continent. And when you track it, all the people I spoke to, the doctors, it had little to do with big things like earning a certain level of income. I had doctors who said, there are times when the lights go off and I need a torchlight to finish surgery. When you're in a health facility, running water is
It's critical. It's life and death.
constantly washing your hands. But we have to fetch from a pail and a bucket. And these are the little things that make them realize, you know what? I'm living elsewhere and they may use every inch and bit of me and milk me as much as they can. So the stress levels are high,
Immensely.
etc. But the working conditions, and I'm not talking about salary compensation, but the
basic
operational setup allows me to work.
do your works.
Okay.
And so when people are moving, it's really not just an abandonment of home and people and culture. And there are people who are the breadwinners, young people who are breadwinners for their families. And for them, if I go and I'm able to earn more, I can send money back.
Yeah.
But if I stay here, we all suffer. So it's a very tangible way out for many people, and we can't fault them for it because we've destroyed what could have been a good system and a place to live. You know, but we also look at it and say, when you go, anywhere else you go, you always be a second-class citizen, even if you hold, citizenship. And home is always home. There's a certain psychological, philosophical, there's a certain bit of our
That
core
DNA, yes.
that will still
that calling.
yeah. And I remember when I got to the US, first I was Ghanaian. And then when I found others, I was African.
Okay.
So you're part of the students from Uganda and Zimbabwe, and you're all doing things together. And so your identity expands, you become a little more globally minded. But at the heart of it, when all is said and done, when you move from being an African, you come to being a Ghanaian. And then amongst the Ghanaians, well, I'm from Saltport.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm from here, I'm from there. You realize that no matter how far you go, your identity at the core is still rooted here.
Totally. Okay, so Doc, this is it. I think we, as a continent, will become so articulate in defining what is problematic about our spaces and our continent. But you work with young people consistently. In your new role now, you're working with the people who curate these spaces, who are leaders. And if you look at recently what has just happened, where people are revoking African visas, student visas, is there something that you can tell us where we can say, you know what, actually, in spite of the evidence, in spite of the messaging, there is something about this continent that is worth fighting for, that is worth being here for. And actually, you know what, I work in spaces where I see so many things happening which are seldom reported. Are there some things you can tell us quickly about that?
I think we have many problems, and every problem is an opportunity for a solution. And that's entrepreneurship. And when I say entrepreneurship, I'm not talking about buying and selling business. No, entrepreneurship as problem solving. That's all it is.
Okay.
And so if you identify a problem, hallelujah, we just found an opportunity. You can do something about it. And for me, if I look at an institution like Ashesi University, and I see how Ashesi is like an oasis in a desert, right? Where the systems work, where it's thriving, it's fulfilling its mission, etc. This is still on this continent, so it tells you that it's possible.
And there's accountability.
Yes, and it is possible. It's possible to do certain things. When I see young people who entered the agribusiness space, they have farms and they are exporting. That person could have used that $80,000 somebody had to also japa, to move out, but they decided to invest it. There are opportunities. Every single problem you think of, there are roadblocks, yes, but whether it's in just starting with a small business and having a dream to scale it up and grow business, or even if, let's say, you have a mother who's sold in the market for so long and the business is, you came to see it very small, just even dreaming of how can I grow this? How can I leverage the fact that I'm on social media to take my mother's business in Makola and then take some pictures, go online, tell the world about it, bring more customers, figure out, okay, looks like we don't have the space, physical space to expand, but we can do online, we can do deliveries. That's an opportunity. As for the opportunities, look, from sanitation, cleaning services, landscaping services, being able to look at a certain neighborhood and say, okay, I dropped out of school or I finished with a senior high school. I don't have the funds to go, continue, but I'm really good when it comes to taking care of the environment. I'm really good when it comes to reading and, there are people who can sculpt with hedges,
Yes.
and all I need is to invest and get one lawnmower
Equipment.
and a pair of shears and let me get started. So if you're open to doing things pro bono for a start, if you come to my door and you say, I see your grass is overgrown and I'd like to trim it for you. I don't have a fee. I want to get started. So I'll do it for you for free. And if you can refer me to somebody else and let me build them, I'd appreciate it. I'll do it for free. You want reference? Here are people who know me. Please feel free to talk to them.
But don't you think that these days young people forget the art of, okay, let me do something for free. Let me prove my worth.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts?
It's gone a little bit because of the environment we live in. Now, my HR firm, Axis, we do recruitment.
Okay.
One of the things that we started moving away from was doing recruitment for sales. Mainly because a company will come to you and say, we're looking for sales executives who will, canvass the roads and get people to buy a product, maybe a book, etc. And we say, okay, or insurance. And we say, okay. Now, it's commission only. Imagine that you're a young person who needs a job. You live somewhere behind Awoshi, Bawe, somewhere. You can't market to just that small community. You need to come out.
Indeed.
In a nation where you don't have a bus system where you can get a pass. You don't have a train system where you can get a pass where, okay, this month I'm covered. So as a sales executive, I can crisscross.
Yes.
The constraints we have are so significant.
At the same time, Yeah.
So when you need to do recruitment and you're asking the person, so how are they going to actually get out, mobilize? They can only walk as far as a particular distance.
Yes, in the sun.
So yes, so even getting started, I don't blame, I'm using this example because I don't blame young people too much for some of these things.
Right.
Because they're in a context where for me to be able to make money, I need something to even get a car from point A to point B.
At least, minimum.
So I can start by, using my neighborhood, but when I'm exhausted and there's nobody else to go,
Yes.
Growing up, I used to love washing cars. So I would go to the neighbor's house, and anytime there was a dirty car around, I was happy to wash it. And one of my dreams was one day I'm going to own a car detailing center, car wash and all that. You can do that, but how sustainable is it? Until you can do something like that, and then now you can start charging. And we're people who don't appreciate labor. If you go to the market and you use any of the headquarters, the Kaya Yin, when I go to the market and I engage their services, I always have a trick. I ask them, how much should I pay you? And the first thing is, oh, anything. And I tell them, no,
I hate that.
don't say anything. Because anything, I can give you one cedi,
Which is anything.
but the work you've done actually should earn you 15 cedis. So when you say anything, you're a business person. So I try to educate them, like, no,
Good.
you're a business person. This is your job. Oh, this is business. And so you have to sit down and think from the center of the market to, let's say, Rawlings Park or wherever. If I do this distance with this kind of load, if it's a small load, medium, whatever, this is how much I charge. And when you have that mindset and you have a people who actually appreciate the fact that you have a fee, that's an opportunity to make money, build, grow, and expand, and now be the one who says, I'm stationing myself at Rollins Park. Any car that parks, madam, please, you give me your list. I'll go and get it for you. Sit in your car. I'll come back. That's business.
Yes, it is.
But an opportunity like that in a country where we don't really appreciate labor,
Yeah.
it's
It's
basically
difficult.
you have no education, so you really have no right to set what you're looking for. There's something wrong with that. So anyway, there are opportunities. Those of us who are in positions where we can help to build a system within which we can thrive need to do more.
Thank you. Yes, so Fiona, I wanted us to now transition to this idea of kind of from listening to Esi, that original curse of being interested in everything still haunts her today because you have refused to put things down. You continue to wear many, many hats, right?
Too many hats.
So we have this idea of the aged community, then your young people. You've almost refused to choose a bracket to deal with, right? So whether it's at the university where you used to lecture and teach. So we should go back to teaching. Because of what your father said. And now the graduate program at Esi that you are part of the team
executive education.
The executive education, kind of dealing with leadership. And then another part of us that, in Africa, everybody prays for old age. It's everybody's prayer. Oh, I hope you get on.
God willing.
But then something happens where our most vulnerable seem to now almost be left to the periphery. They are there, but they are no keepers of storage the way they used to. Maybe somebody will hire a nurse and put them. Why did you think it was so critical for you to say, you know what, I'm going to start an organization here in Ghana that focuses on a particular segment of our society that has sometimes been abandoned, at least in our collective conscience?
2011, my grandmother died at 97, and she lived with us. And so I saw her growing older and weaker, and my mother taking care of her, all of us around her. 2012 presidential elections, and there was a debate. And there was one question that I think there were 4 candidates who were asked what they would do about vulnerable populations. He talked about women, children, and people with disability, and that was it. And because of the recency of my grandmother passing, for me, I was wondering, why didn't anybody talk about senior citizens, the elderly? Because they are a vulnerable population.
Indeed.
And that is where the interest picked up. So I started reading and poking around, and some of the things I discovered led me to decide, you know what, this is an area to focus on. It's a nice green space. It's urgent, it's important, but nobody sees it. It's like the invisible space.
Yeah.
Because on this continent of Africa, families are the primary caregivers from birth to death. It's always been the family. But the socioeconomic context in which we work has changed. And so for greener pastures, that child travels outside to study. They start, and in countries where they're working with loans and they have to repay, they are unable to rush back as soon as they're done. So they're living there, they're working. So grandma is here. All three children, Germany, Australia, US, Norway, wherever. So they are by themselves. The support system that used to be there is no longer there. Even when you're living, people ask me, why are you focusing on the urban elderly? And I tell them, if you live in Dodua, by 5 a.m., adults and children are up, those going to school, those going to work, to beat traffic. So grandma wakes up, the house is empty, she's by herself. So she has the family, she's alone.
Yeah.
And you sit in traffic, you get home, it's 8, 9 p.m.
Exactly.
She's now eager to talk because, if it's, let's say, 7 p.m., she's eager to talk, but
Yeah.
you're tired.
Yeah.
And so you just go, you eat, you go to bed. The loneliness and the depression she feels is more acute.
Sets in, doesn't it?
Yes. And I mean, I've learned so many things on this journey. That's a whole new conversation. But my interest was because I realized the vulnerability and realizing that the state for a long time has been very hands-off because the family was there. The family takes care of the elderly. So the state really had nothing to do. We have social welfare, etc., but focus is children, women, not the elderly. But we've moved into an era where the support system is no longer there. Children are in school, so you don't have the time, which is a good thing. Back in the day, children are running around because they don't go to school, but now they're in school.
Especially now, politically.
And the economy is such that you can't sit at home as an adult and not make money, so you have to get out there and work.
Yep.
So the elderly who are unable to go and come as they used to are on their own. And it's not just physical health, it's psychosocial. It's having that somebody to say hello to, good morning, how are you doing? So if you're in a rural area where you have no walls, you can sit on the veranda and, hey,
It's
come on,
communal, isn't it? It's
how's
communal.
and then we have a conversation. But if you're in an urban area with 4 walls around you, then the pain is even more because you have people, you're in the center of town, but you're alone, you're depressed.
Yeah.
And I used to think that people had health challenges and that led to depression.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with
The
you.
other way.
Yes.
So it's the opposite.
Yes.
For me, what I've learned is you're here, you're lonely, you slip into depression, so you're sitting more. You're
not
more
active.
sedentary.
Wait,
And then your sugar level starts.
wait. Let's stop there because I am coming from Kenya, and they did a documentary some time back where in a particular village, you almost had about 7, 10 men committing suicide.
Men.
Yes. And then now we have started talking about, kind of young people. I'm really happy we're in a place where we are embracing this idea that actually it does not mean that there is something problematic with you. It's part of your health system, and sometimes things go all right. But I have not heard this focus on the people who are much older or
Yes.
the aged community actually having depression.
Oh, I mean, this is being active, especially for those who are very active, and maybe because of some health challenge or whatever, they have to slow down. So you sit there thinking of, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
I used to come and go, etc.,
Yes.
etc.
That loss of
And
independence can be
exactly.
quite crippling.
And when you don't have people around you to be a source of support, they're all gone.
Yeah.
You steep yourself in your thoughts, sometimes the regrets, sometimes the good memories, but
It can
it's all by
spiral.
yourself.
It can
Yeah.
spiral quite quickly.
And so you have some who now have the blood pressure increases, the stress. You have those who also don't feel they don't want to be a burden on their children because they see their children hustling. And so they need something, they can't say it. They're not earning. Pension, let's not go there. People earn as little as, let's say, 300 cedis a month.
Can you imagine?
That's medication for 1 week for some. In fact, that's a small bottle of eye medicine for somebody.
Yeah.
So and that one affects all of us, not just the elderly, because when your salary scales are low now, that is telling you that in the future you're going to be earning very little in terms of pension.
It's true.
You
It's a
know,
good indicator. You're right.
so you end up with seniors who go through all this isolation, mental health challenges, and then it now evolves in all these diseases and conditions that show. You know, so for me, it's a mission field for me. I am very passionate about what I do in that space and just raising awareness because we don't think about it. We are
Clearly, the way you said
do
it, and from where we are sitting is, we are so caught up in our everyday hustle that you forget that there is a part of our community that does not even have the opportunity to participate in that hustle, right? And therefore they've been abandoned. Dr. Esi, if you look at your own story, Fiona, in terms of, there are a lot of people who grew up in the UK,
Yes.
calling UK home.
Yes, yes, yes.
And when it was time for them...
As in the elders?
No. In terms
Young
of
people.
Young people.
young people, even people in their 30s or 40s, when they said, okay, I'm a second generation, I'm fully going to live. And then you realize that the country does not love you back as much as you loved it.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think Esi can tell us? Or is there anything you'd like to ask Esi about how do we help people?
Yeah, just to transition. I mean, it is, it's wonderful to see that there is that exodus of people coming back. But I also feel or have experienced the fact that, okay, I didn't grow up here. So, having that culture clash, trying to assimilate, because you're not 100% British, English, whatever you want to call it. But then, of course, you have Ghanaian heritage. But then, you're still bucking heads with tradition, and it's something that I've had to, for example, have had to navigate that throughout the years that I've been here. But as you said earlier in your submission, that there is just absolutely no way that I could live my life in the West because you will never be a part. You will never be fully accepted, however amazing and however brilliant you are. But then you also, it's like, well, this is where I'm from. This is where, this is the seed. This is, where the genesis is for me. So it's always been quite difficult for me, for example, to traverse both, sides of the pond.
Yeah.
And so to Fiona's point, Dr. Esi, then, I think you are an advocate for many voices. What I want you to then speak to is, because you're dealing with young people, you're dealing with executives, and sometimes we have a certain attitude of people who are coming from elsewhere, like what, the way we talk about the agent, what problems could you possibly have? We've had it. We also have that of foreigners or people who are trying to come back to the continent where, well, you're coming from the West, you're rich, you have an accent, you're this, you're this. There's almost sometimes
disdain
and an animosity, if you will, like you made it out and you came back, or wait a minute, we have so few and you're competing with us. What is your take on that?
One person's reality doesn't become invalidated because your reality is different. So we have to be careful not to be dismissive of the kind of struggles that people have with assimilating. And they also have to make sure they're not being dismissive of our reality. Now, that said, I think it starts at multiple levels. Conversation. Growing up, we had pen pals, where you'd have somebody in Bangladesh, you had no clue, never seen them, except for maybe a picture and a letter, and you're going back and forth. In the world today, nobody has an excuse. Information, connection to people, the opportunity is there. And it starts with conversation. It starts with learning.
Yes, wanting to learn.
And also recognizing the fact that I grew up here doesn't make me better than the one who grew up there.
Right.
And the fact that they have had that global exposure doesn't make them better than me.
Exactly.
Our realities are different. And so you start looking at things like parents who may live out in the West and it's time for summer school and they'll send their children. Now you find more activities during the long vacation.
Yes.
So send their children so that they may not. It's a rude awakening if you take a child who is 19 and has always lived in the UK or in the US and just throw them on the streets of
It's a lot.
Accra and
It's a
expect
lot.
them to be
Or this conversation, which breaks my heart about Africa as a punishment, right?
Yeah.
If you mess up, I'm shipping you back. You know, like this idea. The mother that kid that I think she sued their parents.
Yeah.
To boarding school.
But if you keep the communication open, even if it's not a physical visit, but they're able to talk to their cousins,
Yes.
they're able to talk to grandparents, FaceTime,
It's all
Zoom,
part of it,
whatever,
isn't it?
WhatsApp, get them to stay connected. Then it's easier to build a relationship where they can actually still learn from here. When I did my thesis, there were different perspectives on the brain drain, and one of them was brain circulation. So rather than seeing it as a drain, look at it as brain circulation, where people go, they come back, they capture the real time, what's changing, what's in that context, they go, they come back, we just circulate, right? So the opportunity to come and go is essential, as opposed to go and stay, or for
Okay.
them to come and stay.
Okay.
Create systems where you have incentives for people to come, give back, and then go. Now you have more of that. You have doctors who come and do surgeries with their vacation time,
And then they go back.
But when it comes up, you know what I came to discover? Because it's funny, Dr. Esi and I, we kind of came back at the same time. I also came back in 2008. And when I talked to the people who left at a certain juncture, I came to realize that memory is so important. The memory at your point of departure determines whether you come back or not.
Sure.
So if you're a Ghanaian who left maybe during a time when maybe Ghana was not at a very comfortable, or Kenya maybe these, or whether you're in Mozambique, or that scarred memory, and it almost kind of an arrested development. Whereas if you left, we're like, hey, I'll see you back. So, Dr. Esi, one of the things I appreciate about this spaces and this kind of conversations is they can become points of inspiration. People say, oh, Dr. Esi, she's a professor, she's a lecturer, she teaches, she mentors young people, she started organizations, she's an advocate, she speaks truth to power. She sympathizes and empathizes with the vulnerable in community. And it's very easy for people then to come and say, I want that to be the blueprint of how I'm going to live my life. So for somebody like you then, who has those many hats, where and what is your place of nourishment? Where do you go back and recap? And do you have vulnerable moments where things are really looking impossible?
Many. I'm a person of faith, and that keeps me grounded. And so sometimes when I get to the point where I don't have answers, I feel stuck. Faith is a daily walk for me as a Christian. But then sometimes just saying, you know what, it's okay. Let me just soak in some music, worship music, and then forget what's going on around me. And let me just stay in that place for a while. So, and sometimes just listening to the audio Bible, just listening, especially to the Psalms. I can go on YouTube and find a reading of the Psalms.
Very
and
comforting.
Just listen. And by all means, because of the experience of David, you will find something there that is relevant. Whether David is angry at God or whether he's going and pleading, oh, please help me, or whatever it is, you will find a place you can identify with. And I think, so family, my husband, I'm always telling him, the two of us are very silly together.
Okay.
Very, very silly
That's
together. And so just hanging out and just teasing each other and just relaxing and just blocking out all the wahala that's going on around you. I have certain friends. I have a close circle of friends, maybe a wider circle and a wider circle. So there's a support system, basically, a support system that starts from a place of faith. For me. And then always there's trouble.
Chocolate.
Chocolates. I
think
knew I liked cheap chocolates. Anyway.
I think.
So long as it has chocolate, it has nuts in there, we're good.
I think now we know what.
So,
Next
and
time we're
mango,
fighting.
frozen mangoes. Oh, Lord have mercy.
Is it like a near small mangoes?
The small Ghanaian mangoes.
Okay, you
Wash, freeze,
Uh-huh.
and when you take it out, just allow it to thaw. And for some reason, it's creamier and just. So I can sit behind a nice bowl of mangoes. Yesterday night I did that. I think I had almost.
Wow, I salute
No.
you.
This
Okay.
is a problem. This is not something to be commended.
Oh my God. I feel like you're
But-
just swimming in a bowl of
Yeah, but in all fairness, there are still like okay, to take another 9 months before.
next round
I
again.
freeze them. So I'm driving by, I see nice yellow, I buy, I wash, I freeze. So I have, bags of frozen mangoes. So year round, I'm sorted. That's how deep my love for mangoes is.
Yes, she's a fiend, a friend of mangoes.
I think Fiona, we are doing really well, and I think we are I'm almost at the end of this. I think we now would like to talk about this idea of not the rosy side of things, but like, oh no, this is not going well.
Mm.
Can you tell us about projects which are like, you started something, you spoke about something, and then you did something like, oh, what did I just do here? Is it, do I need to step back? Do I need to evaluate?
There are many. Professionally, personally, there are times when I'm very self-critical, first of all. And so sometimes, and it's not just about beating myself up, but I know what I can do.
Okay.
So if I know I can perform at this level and I'm here, the knowledge is there. It's bridging that gap and actually doing. That sometimes becomes the problem. But then I'm very keenly aware of the gaps that I have and some of the challenges. Sometimes it's a business decision. I remember years ago when we needed to move from where we were running our business, and of course SME, you really don't have much to go and leverage to use, to get a loan from the bank,
Right.
etc. I ended up going to a loan shark.
Ooh.
And just give people context there, because when our loan sharks are not regulated, and we are talking about percentages that
That are
Yeah.
just obscene.
And this maybe loan shark in this sense wasn't the hounding you,
The
etc.
cannibalistic.
Yes.
Mhm.
But I needed the money so we could find a new office and just take off. And ended up going to somebody, referred me to somebody, and then I found this businessman who gave me the loan at 40% interest. And I mean, after I agreed, I was like, oh, shoot.
What?
Wow.
And
Could there have been another
wait,
way? Why did I do this?
and are you doing this as Esi, the O-level child who is fighting with the father, or Dr. Esi, the PhD holder?
This is Esi, the entrepreneur in Ghana.
That era.
So
Of levels.
Yes.
so that somebody was saying that no matter where you are in life, Ghana will take you
It
back
will
to
level
school.
you.
Like you can come back with your PhDs, but you have to start from kindergarten.
You need to learn the ropes. You get
Yeah.
bent. It's all part of the
Yeah.
process.
So this is the
Yeah.
all-encompassing Esi.
There are times when I have 2 master's degrees. And a lot of times people assume it was by choice, but it wasn't. In the US, after 9/11, when the towers came down, they set up the Homeland Security Act, and then they send letters to international students, including myself. You have 60 days. 60 days for me, I had finished all my courses and I was left with my thesis, meaning I wasn't a full-time student, but I was there legitimately.
Right.
And I just needed my thesis to be done.
Just
And
to
then
finalize everything.
they sent letters to all of us, myself included. And I think the deadline was November 6th. And they said, you need to get out by November, I think it was November 6th or December 6th, but there was a deadline. And I thought, oh shoot, what do I do? And this is where your integrity comes to play. And so there are people who gave me all sorts of suggestions.
I will
Go and get
marry you.
married to somebody for a green card. Oh, go into nursing. They always need nurses. You get a green card. Go do this. One of I was working in an organization, and my boss actually said, I think I'm leaving, and I think you can actually do a good job in this role.
Okay.
So I'm willing to, make a recommendation that they take you in and they
Wow.
process documents, etc. And I said, but that's not what I want to do. And so I decided the one thing and it was a harrowing experience.
Gosh.
It's one of those times when you are literally really, really, really stuck.
Yeah.
What do I do?
And desperate.
Yeah. And there were so many suggestions that came my way. And I went back to God and I said, I don't want to do anything that I can look at and not be proud of. I'm not going to go marry somebody because I need documents.
Paperwork.
I'm not going to take on a job where I know in the next year or couple of months I'm out. I'm going off to go do my PhD. So I don't want to do anything that is not real. And so one of the things that I can do is to stay in school. So I asked my department if they would reinstate me, and they said no. And I thought I need to find another program that will fund me because I didn't have the money.
Right.
But I need to find another program that will give me the funding and that will reinstate me and make me a fresh international student on their books.
Right.
So I started looking through, and even then, it wasn't let me just go into a program. I knew I wanted to do something in public sector reform. And I was very interested in public administration, public sector, etc. So I found another master's degree in public service management. So even in the midst of being stuck and feeling I had no options, I still needed to make sure I was aligning with my original
purpose.
Absolutely.
And I found a program and they said, sure. So at a point, there was an overlap. I was finishing up my master's in one university. And by January something, I had started the other program. They had done the paperwork. So I was in two universities.
Wow.
Finishing off here.
One you're a
starting
senior, the other one you're a junior. Like, hey, follow my instructions. Wow.
Yep. So I did that, and it's because I wanted to study public service management. So I went into it, but I went earlier than I would have otherwise.
Right.
Okay,
True, because you could have deferred it
Okay.
or could
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, it
So
is part of your journey. It's like just for this earliest.
Let me finish this master's at the University of Chicago, and then let me look for a PhD program. And then it became, okay, I'm not done, and I want to go back to Ghana and not have to come back to finish anything. So I need to get into another program. So it's just, rather than go straight from that first master's into the PhD, taking the detour to do a second master's, and then now go do the PhD and then pack my bags and come home. But it was, I think, that might stand out as for me one of the experiences that really put me in a place where I needed to make a decision that was difficult.
Yeah.
Needed to look at my long-term purpose and career path and trajectory and my values, my faith.
Yes, I was going to say, because I think really God was really ordering your steps during that time.
It was worth it.
It was worth it. I find it fascinating. And Dr. Esi and I were in another platform, and I remember categorically saying this. So sometimes I find that our society can be quite vicious and say, give me the game on how you got it. And someone say, oh, it was by his grace. Now, when you live in Ghana long enough, you start realizing, well, that statement,
the grace is a national insurance.
It covers us all.
I think I want then to wrap up with this before Fiona kind of does this thing where she asks you what you think of whenever you think of Africa and whatnot. But this is what I want to ask Dr. Esi. You with what is happening with Trump, and I think it's important we start giving names to the people we are referring to. Clearly, from your experience, we have been there before, and oftentimes it's very easy for us to suffer from collective amnesia. That actually, when things get difficult, you're on your own as an African, as a person of a certain complexion. So I'll give you an example. When COVID came, I thought that was going to be a pivotal moment where we say, they closed the drug system. They closed us from having access to vaccines. People were buying vaccines that were rotting. whilst people were dying on the continent. So I thought that after that, people come and say, you know what, if we are not careful, okay, the foods and the ports were closed. I thought that if we are not careful, and then, for example, when September 11th, okay, I know we hear it's people from the Middle East, but here you're a Negro from Ghana. Well, you need to get back home. And now with Trump, with what they did with South Sudan, or even tariffs and going on, for you then, why do you think whenever the world at important moments, they give Africans evidence that we will always choose us over you in critical moments.
Time and time again.
Time and time again throughout history, that we have permanent interests but not permanent friends. Can you kind of quickly tell us why for Africans it's so important that you realize that the destiny lies in your hands, and it's important that you make it safe for yourself here and not plunder this place because this is all you have in the end?
It will come down to having goals and an agenda. Sometimes I look at the decisions that people in the West or leaders in the West will make, and I don't blame them. They're looking out for their interest. Of course, if I'm doing business with you, I'm not here to, give you the opportunity to walk away with this at a certain price, which is lower than what I bought it for. I have to come in with a goal and an agenda, just as you come in.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we don't do.
We've not defined what it is that we want.
Define it. And so, like you rightly said, post-COVID era, we should be manufacturing over here. We should be taking us, almost like the world tells you, hey, you're on your own. Then you decide, okay, I am on my own. That me sets the goal.
Yes.
It's leadership, it's systems, it's so many little pieces, but it's never too late. It's never too late. Right now, let's say we claim we wanted to be beyond aid. I think we do a lot more of talking than doing. And so we said we were going to be beyond aid. And then when just a little bit of the aid is pulled back,
Everybody's crying.
and then we start making noise. And this covers.
So you're telling us Trump was helping us realize our own goals. When he says, like, you know what?
Every problem is an opportunity. So you see the problem and you see, wow, African philanthropy or philanthropy in Africa, entrepreneurship, building systems, government being able to say, you know what, we are going to create an environment where for a young person to register a business and run it, you're going to make it easier.
Yeah.
It's that wake up call and that sustained energy and momentum that we don't have. One scandal comes up in the news, and while you're still processing it, another one starts.
Yes. So that the original one then just simmers down.
Yeah.
Just
So we end up not really learning from our mistakes because there's always something new, and we let
Unfortunately, we almost use politics as a form of entertainment.
Our
Like, when is the
politics-
next episode? Like, I need the next drama.
Yeah.
And so,
So we need to learn, and I think some do. If you have the right systems, a lot of the change we're looking for to actually take up delivery. Some of the NGOs who are doing work here, whose aid has been cut, they're building boreholes. It's not like they're doing anything that may be transformational on a scale.
I see. Okay.
So if you're funding for making boreholes or supporting, I don't want to rubbish projects,
I understand.
but these are important. But can we for a second think of, let's say you're a politician or you're a business person, or you go into a local community, instead of looking for a contract or an arrangement to provide borehole, why don't you start pushing Ghana Water Company Limited? We need you to bring pipes to this community. Let your energy be around building the system that will go beyond.
Make it more sustainable.
Okay.
We need to reorient our minds to the things that are foundational, where once now we have pipes. We need a borehole if you have pipes. If you're able to process, purify water and then, provide. And so it's a wake-up call. it's a wake-up call for us to realize that when it comes to world trade, the big boys are fighting and you are the ground underneath them. So they are stomping on your head. You got to do something. You've got to do something. And easier said than done, but it's a huge opportunity we can't miss. Our governments shouldn't miss. Our business people shouldn't miss. We produce cocoa. Sadly, our cocoa, the entire system is such that it has to go through state-run, entities and operations. But this is a time for a government that will say, you know what? If we're not careful, we're going to be left behind. Ivory Coast, where are you? You're producing, we're producing. Can we come together? And now let's go as a united front.
Yes.
But this is an old conversation. I think we've talked about it on this continent. There's the African free continent, continental
free trade agreement.
Name.
I know.
I always look at it and say, why couldn't they come up with something else?
It's funny. We say AFTA and say no. We are not AFTA. You have to be specific on the.
But even that, we have it on paper. What have we done?
Okay, you know what? To answer Dr. Esi, we are going to actually bring somebody from AFCTA and we'll ask exactly that question. What have we done on this idea?
What have we done to get off paper and get into practice?
I will ask exactly that.
Yes.
What have we done to get off paper?
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot to do.
Okay, I think that's it. Fiona, you know what? There is a danger that if you're not careful, that we end up wrapping up with this idea of, it's exhausting. So let Esi tell us when she thinks of Africa. Go ahead. I think that's the game.
Yeah. So closing reflections, a few questions, short questions, and you just finish the question.
Okay.
Africa is full of. Be careful.
Light.
That's very nice.
I like that.
That's very nice. The future I dream for Africa is
Systems that work, run by good leaders.
what brings you back to center?
Faith.
Solid. And what gives you hope when you're tired and discouraged?
Africa.
So all roads lead back to Africa.
Yeah, I mean, we have enough problems to create opportunities, and I don't neglect the bright spots that we have, the light that you find even in the darkness.
And we do
That
need
gives me hope.
yeah,
That gives me hope. When I see certain people, when I see certain institutions, organizations, initiatives, that young person who is working hard, and I respect when I'm on the streets, I respect that young man who recently, I saw a young man who was selling. Looks a little older than the demographic around the traffic light where I was. And I took off a little too early. I wanted to stop and tell him, you know what? The fact that you're not out there stealing, etc. Even in this, I can tell that this is not your comfort zone. But congrats that you're actually doing what is legitimate to keep going.
That's just giving me goosebumps.
And sometimes that gives me hope that it's not every young person who's, running around causing trouble. Yeah. And that gives me hope when I see young men who could easily be misbehaving.
Yeah.
But they
choose to
do a difficult thing.
Yes,
which may not be luxurious, but I need to get by, and I'm not going to do things that will harm other people, etc. But I will do the legitimate things to keep moving. And I respect that a lot.
And before that, you talked about this concept of dignity. And I think one of the things I've come to discover over the years is it's not the work that gives you dignity. You give the work dignity, right? So I like the idea, whether you are the traffic and maybe this is not where you want to, but you've taken what might seem, some people might think is below you, but you've given it dignity. And
it has value because there are alternatives. There are those who will come to try and what do you call them? Squidgy.
Yes.
They'll come and try and if you tell them to stop or whatever, they'll hurl insults at you and go away. And then there are those who are just trying hard to come, and you can see they're selling.
You can.
There's no entitlement where if you don't buy it, I insult you. Yeah. But it's been a long day. And I need to be able to make something.
Provide something.
So
Yes.
they're just doing hard work, and I think we need to acknowledge some of those things. Yeah. It gives me hope.
Thank you.
Fiona, do a rapid fire and then we close.
Okay, okay, very quickly. Tea or coffee, Dr. Esi? Tea or coffee? Mocha.
Mocha.
Oh.
Keep going. Keep
Okay.
going.
Banku or Kenke?
Gary.
Oh,
I love Gary.
Gary is in your
Okay, Banku.
in any so whether it's Eba or soakings or you just don't care in what
just-
Three, 5, 7 times a day. Give me different variations.
look at that.
And just put some mango juice in it.
Good to go. Good to go. Early riser or night owl?
I used to think night owl, but early riser.
Yeah.
I used to think, but I'm learning more about myself.
Yes, yes, yes. No, I have to concur. Early riser, I think. One book that changed your life.
The Book of Nehemiah.
Ah,
People ask me, what's the best leadership book you've read?
uh-huh.
And I tell them the Book of Nehemiah time and again. There's strategy, there's planning, there's teamwork, there's collaboration.
I'll be listening.
There's everything that I've ever read anywhere else. The Book of Nehemiah, the story of Nehemiah.
Interesting.
Mm.
Okay. One Ghanaian phrase or proverb that always grounds you.
Mhm.
And we have many.
I would say I'm not certain about the Ghanaian-ness,
Mhm.
but local wisdom. Well done is better than well said. And it's something that there are times when I have all these great ideas and I'm planning and and it's like, okay, let's see it in action.
Yeah, do.
So it helps me to remember. It's good to say it and it sounds good, but well done. For somebody to tell you well done because you've done it.
Yeah,
It's
the
better than well said. Now we're waiting for you to do. So well done is better than well said.
Well noted. Finally, what makes you laugh no matter what?
His name is Raymond.
Good answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Always has one silly thing or the other to make me laugh.
Good, good, good. We need our people in our corner to make us shine, rain or shine.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much for spending your time here today. It was so
Thank
great.
you.
We've learned so much.
Thank you. Absolutely lovely.
I know what, Doc. Let me say this. When we started this space, we wanted to platform people who are good people, first and foremost, who genuinely care about humanity and what we can do. And hopefully, the words you share and what they say touches some people who can then go on to do other things, because we are in urgent times, at least on our continent, and we do not have the luxury of
Waiting.
keep saying it, but hopefully doing it well. So thank you, Doc, for your time. I mean, you have many other places you could have been. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you both. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you.
hanging out.